In our next example, we're going to do something very similar to what we did with arguments here, except instead of passing the arguments at the end of the path, we're going to pass them somewhere in the middle of the path. So this is in cases where we know what the beginning of the path is going to look like, and we know what the end of the path is going to look like, but we don't know what the middle is going to look like. So for example, when you go to node / and then the node ID / edit, this is an example of where we know the beginning and the end, but not necessarily the middle. And the way that we register a function to handle this is just a little bit different than we handle arguments. Go ahead and jump to your module directory, and what we're going to do is open up step 6, which is called placeholders. And we're going to open this up. Go ahead and copy all of the code, and then paste it over the current code in your pages.module file, and save it. Okay, I'm going to scroll up to our hook menu function here, right here, and at the bottom we've added one additional item called pages / and then there's a wildcard and then /placeholder. So when we say wildcard in Drupal, most of the time we're talking about this percentage sign here. And what it means is that this is a variable item. We don't know what's going to be here. The way that we register a placeholder inside of a menu function has two parts. First of all, we use this placeholder inside of the path, so where we would expect something variable, we would add it as a wildcard. And then the second part is in the page arguments parameter in the menu item, we're going to pass it an array. And any numbers that we pass through this array will get assigned values based on its location inside the path, starting with the number 0. So the first argument would be a 0, that would be pages, but the second one, which would be number 1, is our wildcard. So we're passing it an array, and the number will automatically get loaded with that wildcard item. This means that if we wanted to pass additional placeholders, we could do so and simply add the number of that placeholder inside of this array. Now this page arguments parameter is a list of parameters that are going to get passed to the page callback function. And we're using the pages argument function, just like we did for our previous example for passing arguments, in order to render this page. The rest of this is pretty straightforward. We have a title and a description, and then we have some access arguments to limit the ability to view this page to people with the access content permission. Okay, let's go ahead and scroll down to our pages argument function and take a second look at this. We already looked at this in our previous example, but let's look at it again and translate how this placeholder is going to be passed as a parameter to it. Scroll down to the bottom here. We have our pages argument function, and then we have the single parameter that's being passed to it. Now, instead of grabbing this parameter off the end of the path like it would if we were using arguments, instead, that wildcard that was in the path is going to be pulled out as an argument and passed to this function. Let's go ahead and make sure that our module file is saved, and then jump back to our page in the browser and flush our caches in order to register our new menu item. Okay, I'm going to jump back to the code and copy the path to our page, which is pages / wildcard / placeholder. And I'm going to paste it into the browser. Now, if we just load this, we're going to get an error message. We need to replace this placeholder here with some value. So let's go ahead and type in some value here and reload the page. Okay, so now this wildcard is being passed in. We know because the value of the code that's being returned as a render array is simply this text. The argument passed was, and then some value is being passed here through the placeholder. If we change this a little bit more and refresh the page, we would get that new value here. Okay, so placeholders and arguments are very similar. Placeholders just require a little bit more of a definition inside the menu item. We need both the wildcard and we need to pass it explicitly as an argument to the page arguments parameter in the menu callback.